Very good morning to the guys in Asia and good evening to the rest of the world. So today is the first AMA of the year, 2021. So as we welcome 2021, we are very delighted to also start this AMA and to share with you guys what we have done in Q4. We have done lots and lots of things. So it is here today that we will share with you. And more excitingly, we have taken a lot of feedback from you guys and we want to share with you what we will do in Q1 2021 and also in 2021 itself. All right, so live here from sunny Singapore, I have with me today a special guest, which is Balan. So Balan is also based in Singapore. We are at different places hosting the event. So Balan, the floor is yours, and can you just say hi to everyone?
Thank you, Zach. A very good morning, and thank you for having me today. I'm very delighted, excited, and I can't wait to share my experiences. But before that, I won't steal your thunder. I'll hand it over to Zach for formal introductions. Thank you.
Sure. So, all right. So I think today's session is very special because Balan will also share with us some of the stuff about legal and compliance. And I think before we kickstart, we would want also to let Balan introduce himself. So Balan is actually our compliance officer. And many of you that are following us know that in 2019 and 2020, we took a lot of effort to be compliant in the global compliance sphere. Because as you know, there are so many things happen in the crypto sphere. Ripple has been summoned by SEC, and there's a lot of effort to be compliant. So Balan plays a very important role. He and his team plays a very important role in advising and assisting both Pundi X and FunctionX in getting compliance, not just in Singapore with the Monetary Authority of Singapore, but actually the global compliance industry. So I think it's a huge challenge because I know that Balan will be looking into, compliance law of Brazil this week, and next week he will be coming back to compliance law in Asia. So it's really lots of things to do. So before we ask you more about the compliance and legal work, I think it's a good chance for you to say hello to our friends. Some of them know you, some of us have not met you yet. So why don't you tell us about you and maybe your life before Pundi X?
I'm happy to share that. Well, I'll just focus on my professional career and leave my personal life aside. Well, I began my working career by joining the Singapore Civil Service at 19 years old. After finishing my undergraduate studies, I worked at the Ministry of Defense and the Ministry of Education. As a defense analyst, I performed several duties, including the use of advanced technology for quantitative and qualitative research and analysis. And thereafter, at the Ministry of Education, I was part of the Future Schools Initiative to use educational technologies to supplement classroom teaching. I also designed a course entitled Philosophy, Politics, Economics, a case study of iPhone 3, and taught it using educational technologies. So it was taught entirely using computer aided instructional materials. It was one of the most pioneering work in my experience as an educator because some of the methodologies were rolled out during the COVID-19 blended learning period. So I could see it was a sense of fulfillment for me to see my initiatives being used even after leaving the education service. Well, thereafter, I left government service to pursue my legal studies at the National University of Singapore, and I've been practicing law after getting called to the Singapore Bar. And it has been a long but rewarding experience, legal practice that is. Over to you, Zach.
Aha, okay, wait. So, Balan, so you just told us that you work for the Ministry of Defense of Singapore, and you spent some time there doing analytics and also information stuff. And then you went to education industry, like Ministry of Education. So you actually jumped from defense to education. And then in education, as you said, you did some syllabus planning, teaching planning, and in fact, some of them were actually rolled out during this challenging times in Singapore. And then you actually moved from education into the law. So can you share with us what made you jump into the legal practice? Because you had two, I would think, spectacular time in both ministry. Yeah.
I believe in lifelong learning, and legal practice allow me to do that. As an educator, I have been preaching lifelong learning to my students, and I practice what I preach. And that was one of the fundamental reasons why I chose the legal profession.
Okay, you mentioned about lifelong learning, and you have taught students from universities, from high school. So in a way, I feel that many of us in the company see you as a teacher. So you have this respect from many of us, and in fact, sometimes when I need help, I would get your counsel, get your advice. So the late evening we spend discussing things. So all right, let's just try to get back into Pundi X and tell us what's your experience in Pundi X and Function X, and maybe the most rewarding experience, and maybe also the most challenging experience. Yeah.
Well, there are many to say since 2019, but if you are going to push me into a corner and make me name one, then it would be setting up the compliance framework that balances the business goals of the company at the same time being compliant with the global law. Not the easiest of tasks, I must say. I could spend hours and hours talking about this, but I will keep it short for now.
Okay. So really trying to traverse the compliance market, so to speak. Okay, so last but not least, can you share with us in 2021, there are so many Ripple, not the token, but Ripple about compliance and legality. CBDC talk about rolling out a digital currency, but also being compliant and KYC at the same time. So there are so many things going on in the legal and compliance market. I think it's like converging both crypto, blockchain, and also the compliance legal sector. So what are your thoughts about 2021? What will happen? What will transpire? And maybe also in the context of Pundi X.
You used a good word, that is convergence. Here I see a convergence of law when it comes to global compliance. And I don't see 2021 as something anomalous, because we are going to see the same trends. More governments are going to regulate the use of cryptocurrencies for consumer protection. Why? Because you can only refer to the recent bullishness of Bitcoins. Governments all around the world want to make sure that their citizens as customers are well protected, and the compliance framework and regulations would be in a way geared towards that fundamental goal.
Oh, wow. You mentioned a very good thing. The Bitcoin price all-time high. So we just hit 40,000 US dollar. So, I mean, the focus on cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, especially has endured such intensity. We see it on news, newspaper in our local edition. I'm sure all our friends out there are seeing it in their local edition, whether you are in Ghana or New York or wherever you are. So I think there's a lot of scrutiny, and I think we're really glad that we are, if I may, on the side of the legal shores, if that is such a word.
Yeah, you made an excellent observation, because it is not just Bitcoins, but 2021 could also see a number of governments introducing their own digital currencies, the fiat equivalent of digital currencies. So this market is poised to expand, I would say. And yes, like you, I think we on the right side of things, hopefully. And it's something to be optimistic about, especially since the last year had created such disruptions with the COVID-19 situation. But let's see how.
Indeed, indeed. So thank you, Balan. I think that's very important for us to be compliant as we grow even further, from the 2017-18 all-time high to the 2021 all-time high. During the previous all-time high, we have seen us grow in such tremendous speed in terms of our business, also our token value. And in this all-time high, we hope to do the same. So I think this time we are even more well prepared with the compliance in place. All right, thank you, Balan. And then stick around, and as we also share with our viewers what we have this today. All right, so right now I will fire up my screen and talk to you about today's agenda. And as I've said, there are a lot of things to go through in our agenda. So, you know, grab your coffee, grab your beer, whatever, as we start to dive down into business. Okay, so I will share my screen. All right, guys, can you see the screen? If you can, please give a shout out on YouTube. Okay. All right, I have gone into presentation mode. Can you guys see me? Okay, Cali Boy says yes, right? Sale Boost says yes. All right, David says yes. Fine. Okay, good. Okay, all right. So we have briefly categorized into 8 items. So the first item we will talk about today is the product itself. And then second, we will visit some XPOS merchant and also users. We have had a nice growth in Q4 despite the pandemic. We have seen some nice growth in North America, which is a market which we have been very eager to get into. Third, we want to talk about some of the events that we have. Most of them are actually virtual, and most of them actually took place in East Asia. Fourth, I will give the floor to Balan again to talk about some of the compliance work that we have been doing. A lot of them are actually behind the scene, but I think it's very key to share it with you guys. Fifth, Function X. This will be a very elaborate topic, both talking about Testnet 3 and also Mainnet. Sixth, we go into Q&A. So many of you have asked many questions on Twitter, so we will answer them live to you today. And also not just that, I want you guys to post any questions you have live on YouTube. And what we will do is that Paco and her team will pick the questions and throw it to us live as we answer you. Seven, token burn. So much chatter has been talking about token burn. In fact, a couple hours ago, many of you on Twitter has specifically highlighted us to talk about token burn. So we will talk about token burn today. And last but not least, one more thing. So stay to the end. All right, the first one is product. Okay, so can you guys see the screen? XPOS is an ecosystem. So why do we say XPOS is an ecosystem? The reason simply is because PundiX with our XPOS has actually expanded beyond just our hardware, physical hardware XPOS. We have expanded to different segments of the point of sales market. What does this mean? This means that we are actually actively seeking partners from other point of sales company. Why is that? The reason is simply because one, we have three big point of sales company globally, which is Ingenico, Verifone, and Pax. And also we have a lot of local players. So there could be a very strong point of sales player in Thailand. There could be another one in South Africa. So because of that, we are expanding our wings and we want to work with all this point of sales company. The reason is simple, because these guys already have the distribution. By getting into their ecosystem, XPOS becomes part of their ecosystem, and we can allow their point of sales to buy and sell crypto right away. So many of you know that we have put in special effort into some point of sales company. And if you have a PAX point of sales, point of sales terminal, some of the Android PAX point of sales terminal come with XPOS out of the box. What this means is that when you acquire a PAX Android POS, you can actually download XPOS software right from the App Store and fire up and enable crypto payment right away, which means that with this PAX Android POS, you can actually accept Visa, MasterCard, Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, and also XPOS, which means that crypto out of the box. So this means that anyone that has an Android POS powered by PAX can do that. We are doing the same thing with Ingenico. Ingenico is launching their App Store soon, and we will be part of the App Store, which means that if you have an Ingenico APOS A8, you can actually go to their App Store when it's live to download crypto. So that means that we can actually spawn and reach out to many, many more POS merchants that wants to accept cryptocurrency. Of course, many strong crypto supporters still buy the original XPOS hardware from us. That is still the best crypto option available. But at the same time, we are also spreading our wings to all this huge point of sale system company. For example, Ingenico itself, if I'm not wrong, they have 30 million point of sales globally. We are actually reaching out through their app store so that people can actually download PundiX XPOS software right from the POS. That is why I say XPOS is an ecosystem. XPOS can be used as a hardware by buying a XPOS from PundiX, but also at the same time, people that run different point of sales, especially Android point of sales, can also enable XPOS. So we are working very hard with the partners and also our distributor to get this out. So this is item number one. As we move into 2021, we are actually strengthening our position as an ecosystem provider. Next, so let me just recap what can you buy in an XPOS. So not just PundiX powered XPOS hardware, but other point of sale system that has XPOS software installed. So these are the different kind of tokens that you can buy from them, from XPOS, and also use all these different tokens to buy your favorite coffee, daily items, and etc. And in Q4, we have added one more token, which is the Arrow Social token. So welcome on board, and we look forward to more and more tokens live on XPOS. Next, distributor portal. Distributor portal is something that our distributor use a lot, and there are a lot of feature requests on it. For a regular user, you don't see this distributor portal, but actually there's so much effort being done on the distributor portal. In Q4, we have even broken down into different commission rates, whereby a distributor can set different cashier commission rates and also crypto sales commission rate, as you can see on the upper left corner. We have also initiated on-chain payment in Q3, and we are happy to share with you that in Q4 2020, we have allowed distributor to deposit stable coin in the form of DAI using their local fiat currency. So right now, if you are a distributor, you can actually deposit Great Britain pound and euro into the distributor portal, and you will get DAI on the other side in return. So that makes it much more easier for a distributor to either bank transfer their money to us so that it will be displayed as crypto. This is what we call off-chain deposit. And you can also do on-chain deposit, whereby you transfer your stable coin immediately on-chain to us. And we have added the third one, which is to deposit using your bank card. And we are supporting GBP and Euro. And I believe in Q1 this year, USD is on the works. So these are some of the works that we are doing with Distributor Portal. So why are we spending so much effort on the Distributor Portal? Because Distributor Portal is something that our master distributor use very often, and there are many things that they need to control because each distributor have tens or hundreds of XPOS being distributed. So they need to have control. And for all those of you that are out there, potential master distributor, you need to know that we are servicing the master distributor well, and you have the ability to customize all these things in your local market. So potential distributor, especially master distributor, where you own a certain region or your own country, this distributor portal will help you a lot. And for those of you that are viewing that are merchants, so you also have your own merchant portal. So you can look at it this way. Distributor portal is at the tip of the pyramid, and you have merchant portal where regular XPOS merchant handles it. So as you can see, we have spent a lot of effort on getting XPOS, perfecting XPOS, whether it is servicing our master distributor, which some of you are actually listening in today, and also the regular merchant that gets the XPOS from the master distributor. So lots of work has been going on, and in Q4 2020, we have added these two features amongst others. Right, so XWallet has also nicely added Japanese support. So right now, on top of Chinese, Spanish, English, Korean, German, and Portuguese, we now have Japanese language support on our XWallet app. And this Japanese language support is actually translating to some nice adoption, which I will share with you, which happened in Japan. Right, okay. Because it's 2021, start of a new year, I would like to again emphasize how strong our liquidity is. As of today, just take NPXS for example. We are listed over more than 25 major exchanges. And these are the ones that I've listed, but in fact, it is way more. We're just listing the more major exchanges. And in Q4 2020, we have some nice addition, and amongst them, an exchange called Novadex. And my colleagues from Brazil told me that Novadex is actually the #1 or top 3, depending on how you take the metrics, exchange in Brazil. So as you know, Brazil is not a small market. So we are glad that Novadex has decided to list us. Also, we have been listed on many of the DEX exchange, And a worthy mention is actually Uniswap, which is also listed here, the unicorn at the lower center column. So we have seen quite a nice increase of liquidity on Uniswap. So you don't just need to trade on the likes of Binance and Bithumb, but you can, or Bittrex, you can also choose decentralized exchange if it is your thing. Or in fact, you can actually take NPXS or FX and become a liquidity provider on DEXs, as I have done on Uniswap myself. So 2021, our liquidity is as strong as ever, and we expect it to grow even further in the realms of decentralized exchanges. So we look forward to getting increased liquidity on the DEX level as we ourselves, the company, PundiX and FunctionX, get into the space of DeFi, which I will talk a bit more in a while. Okay, so listed exchanges for NPXS, done. Next. All right, so our videos on PundiX Labs. So why am I showing you our video? I want to share with you the video to give a bit of perspective on how we work. You remember we started our ICO in late 2017, and we officially started XPOS rollout in late 2018. And throughout that 2018, 19, and 2020, we have never stopped being dedicated and hardworking, all the team members here. As you can see from the video, we have over 100 videos provided on PundiX Labs. Many of them are actually geared towards tutorial on how to use XPOS, whether it is for a regular user to buy crypto, to spend crypto buying coffee, or for merchant and distributor so that they get their hands wet by looking at the video. So what I'm saying is that our motto, our modus operandi, which is to let people buy and use crypto as easy as buying a bottle of water, has never changed. And our effort has always been working on this, and it is evident on the video. So for merchants or user that is interested, look at the video and tell us what you think. And of course, a special shout out to the whole team that has been doing such good work producing the video. I think Andres and Melissa from the team are two of the ones that have worked a lot on the video, as well as others. So just to share, 100+ videos produced for onboarding merchants, user, and also the likes. All right. Okay, let me just check on the YouTube chat a little bit. Okay, all right, thank you guys. Keep up the great work, Pundi. Best wishes from Ireland. Okay, so at least I know you guys are still with me. All right, so XPOS merchant and user. The reason why we are growing is because we have the merchant and the user supporting us. So every quarter, every month, and every day, we reach out to new user. To be honest, this year, 2020 has been a very challenging year because of the pandemic. Our sales guys, our BD team cannot go out to talk to people, and user that wants to go to the shops to buy coffee or use their XPOS card are simply unable because of the lockdown. So 2020 hasn't been a good year for everyone, and it has been challenging for us because a lot of our effort are dependent on offline work. So the fact that we are still growing in 2020 is very is a telling of how much work the distributor have put in. So this picture is a visual view of the good work that are being done. So there are so many activation out there, but I would just like to take the opportunity to point out a few of them. So as I've said, we have seen quite a bit of growth in North America. And so you have in the image itself, you see some of our merchants, some of our users being happy with using XPOS. And not just Pundi X XPOS, but actually XPOS software powered by other point of sale. So the guy on the left, upper left, is actually using a PAX point of sales, but XPOS is actually powering the software. So we have seen quite a bit of uptake. I think especially in the US state of North Carolina and Florida. So these two is actually quite nice growth going on. And other places, Spain is also especially interesting as a telecommunications company has started using XPOS, our own XPOS, as a means of accepting payment. So whether you want to pay your utility bill, your phone bill, they accept cryptocurrency payment and they accept it using XPOS. So a shout out, thank you to the distributor in Spain for making this happen. So, okay, and really other places as well, but I would just leave it to two examples for now. And it is especially appreciated during such a challenging 2020. And as the vaccine rollout come into fruition, I believe 2021 will have more rollout. And it doesn't hurt when Bitcoin goes to all-time high. Why is that? Because during our biggest XPOS inquiry was during early 2018, because everyone was asking how to get hold of Bitcoin, the regular folks. So we are seeing the resurrection of this trend this year. All right, as usual, transaction. So what are the big countries that have done crypto sales? So top 5. The first goes to US. The second goes to Uganda, which is growing very nicely. Third is Belgium, even though it's a small country, but we are seeing nice crypto sales. And followed by Spain and Chile. The crypto sales tokens are first Bitcoin, which to me is not a surprise, and NPXS actually slowly cropping up the ranking. Last quarter it was number 3, and this quarter is number 2. And followed by ETH, FX, and stablecoin. So this is crypto sales, which means that what are the countries that are buying crypto and also which tokens they are buying. Next, XPOS transaction for crypto pay, which means that which countries are using crypto to buy stuff, to buy coffee, to buy groceries. So number 1 goes to Spain. Maybe it's powered by lots of people paying bills. Second is Chile. Third is Uganda. Fourth is Brazil. And fifth is Japan. So Japan, I suspect, is because we also have a good localization support recently. And what cryptos are being used to pay for their coffee? FX, great to know. MPXS, BTC, Ethereum, and USDT. So the usual suspect, but it doesn't just stop there. In different markets, we see different people using different tokens. So take, for example, with the onboarding of Arrow Social token, our partners in Arrow Social might be pushing for token usage in their market. So that is kind of like a different nice segment that we see growth, specialized usage of different tokens in specialized market. So that is also very interesting. All right, so let me just bring us back to XWallet. So XWallet, who are the most active user in countries? So number 1 for XWallet is actually Turkey. So Turkish user has been a very vocal user base, as you know, as you can see from Twitter. So XWallet, number 1 goes to Turkey, followed by US, Spain, Indonesia, India, Korea, Russia, Brazil, France, and Netherlands. And what about downloads? We see a lot of downloads happening in India and Brazil, taking number 1 and number 2. Then US, Pakistan, Indonesia, Turkey, Bangladesh, UK, Spain, and Korea. So these are the active usage and also the download usage of our app, XWallet, in Q4 2020. All right, some numbers. So we have over 300,000 gift transactions that happen through CryptoGift. And really a shout out to all of you that are on Telegram. I know many of you are using the CryptoGift to give crypto to your friends. And I guess in today's all-time high, the usage would grow even more. So CryptoGift has always been a very popular feature in our app, in our ecosystem. And we see 269 minutes of usage per day. And very, very well is that we see a 20% increase of XPOS activation in Q4. Q4 2020 year, around has been a very challenging year, but Q4 has been a good quarter for us. And we see a 20% XPOS activation increase. And I think this partly is helped by a more streamlined compliance. So for many of you that are our merchants, you would, one of the quote unquote complaint that you sometimes give to us is that our compliance process, our onboarding is very strict. And I think in Q4, we have streamlined it better. And also the strong compliance actually give you a peace of mind, because I think this is very, very critical as we see more and more national government scrutinizing crypto. So we just want to make sure that we as a company and you as a merchant gets protected. And in that backdrop, we are seeing a 20% increase in XPOS activation. All right, events and marketing. As I've said, most of our events and marketing have shifted online. And in Q4, most of them actually happened in East Asia. So we have a pretty good exposure on Blockchain Jam 2020, which is an event in Japan, a top tier crypto event in Japan. And we have quite a bit of exposure. In fact, for those that have tuned in to Blockchain Jam on YouTube, you will see our app advertisement pop up as shown in this slide. So that is in Japan. And in another country, Korea. So in Korea, we have worked with Upbit. So we have some nice exposure in Upbit Developer Conference. So you guys know that Upbit is either the #1 or the top 3 exchanges, depending on the metrics you want to look at in Korea. So we have some nice exposure in Upbit Developer Conference in Korea as well. So a shout out to Nana, our country manager in Japan, and also Melissa in Korea. All right, so more virtual event. Indonesian Blockchain Conference. So we actually moderated a session about DeFi. I guess the Blockchain Association of Indonesia knows that we are getting into DeFi. So our friends, our team, not friends, our team in Indonesia, Indra and Lovely, has gotten us this virtual conference, which we have moderated Indonesian Blockchain Conference, talking about DeFi. And we have also spoken virtually on Singapore FinTech Festival. So every year we have been attending and exhibiting with a booth in Singapore FinTech Festival. But because of the pandemic, this year we have brought it online with Balan, speaking about regulation in crypto. So navigating MAS, which is Monetary Authority of Singapore licensing for fintech companies in Singapore. So this is being organized by Osprey and IBM. So as you know, Balan have feedback. A lot of major big companies are looking into the crypto space. All right, it is evident. I don't have to say this. All of you guys know. Next, we have another virtual event that took place. So Paco spoke in a event called How Singapore Companies Are Enabling Greater Intra-Africa Trade Flows. So we were wondering, why did the guys from Monetary Authority of Singapore spoke to us and asked us to speak in this event. So I guess we have put in a lot of effort in Africa. Some are growing, some are still in the process. We have been to Kenya, Rwanda, South Africa, and we have a nice master distributor in Ghana, and also we have master distributor and friends that are trying to push in Uganda, and I mean really the whole big African continent. So in this event, Paco spoke about our experience trying to roll out in Africa. And as you can see, there are 6 guys there. On the left is actually one of the biggest public listed company in Singapore, Olam. And those of you that are in India might also be familiar with Olam as well. So one of the biggest public listed company in Singapore. And also on Paco's left-hand side and on her right is actually from the Monetary Authority of Singapore. So this is another virtual event that we spoke in GTR Africa 2020. All right, the last event that we spoke in Q4 is actually a physical event. Look at the image on the lower right. So many people crowding the event. So Judy from our Taiwan office, Taipei office, is actually demoing to audiences how XPOS is being used. All right, I have to mention, give a shout out to Taiwan because we have really quite an interesting growth in Taiwan. We powered the first music festival, Ultra Taiwan, which is the first music festival that fully uses token payments on the 2-day event that happened in Taiwan, and we are showcasing again. So the demo is actually to the mayor of Taipei City. So the mayor of Taipei City actually bought Bitcoin using XPOS on XPOS. So this physical event is very meaningful because there aren't so many physical events. And what makes it even more special is that the mayor from the biggest city in Taiwan is actually the one that is using the XPOS. So shout out to the team, and we want you to know that even during challenging times, we are really pushing the messaging out. All right, next we move into compliance and partners. So since Balan is actually on the show today, we want to take the opportunity to ask Balan, the various compliance things that we are doing, because it is a lot of all this actually happen behind the scene. There's so many engagement that we have with the Monetary Authority of Singapore, the different government and association. So many things are done to make sure that we are compliant and operate as a growing company. So Balan, I hand the stage to you to share with us some of the work that we have been doing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Zach. Now, before I speak about compliance and compliance partners, it is only appropriate for me to provide a brief summary of our license application under the Payment Services Act. This is because the Payment Services Act basically sets out how the compliance framework of the company should look like. And when we talk about compliance, it is compliance with the Act and the guidelines that MAS has provided us. Now, just to give a brief background and a summary of our license application process and procedures, it is good to understand that PundiX started preparing for the license application in January 2019 when the Payment Services Act was first enacted. The act came into force 1 year later in January 2020. So between 2019 and 2020, there was a long consultation process with many actors, including the Monetary Authority of Singapore, MAS, Singapore FinTech Association, SFA, and Association of Cryptocurrency Companies of Singapore, Access. These consultations were important because they provided us with the much needed insights on how PundiX's internal policies and procedures are to evolve to remain compliant with the laws and guidelines. Now, as customers of PundiX, many would remember that new KYC procedures were implemented in July last year. What you have experienced was a result of new standards that were introduced by the central bank here. The central bank here meaning MAS. And in so doing, the MAS has effectively imposed banking standards on crypto payment providers like PundiX. As for the application status, we are still waiting to be interviewed by the officers of MAS. The license would only be granted after we get through this interview stage. And do bear in mind that MAS has been voted the best central bank for 5 consecutive years. And yes, we have to face the officers of the world's best central bank in our set. But we are getting there. We are getting ready for that interview. Now, a lingering question or a related question is why Singapore? Why did PundiX decide to make an application under Singapore laws? One, you will remember that PundiX's mission is to bring about mass adoption of the use of cryptocurrencies. And Singapore is one of the strategic jurisdictions to achieve this goal. Singapore's laws are progressive and facilitative for innovation, and it's one of the leading countries in the world to provide a comprehensive legal and regulatory framework for companies like PundiX to operate in. It is also a hub for many great minds to meet and share their best practices and experiences, which invariably translates to better products and services. So against this backdrop, it is one could appreciate that our compliance framework is really a robust one, which is largely defined by Singapore laws and guidelines. And we have put in place several new initiatives. We have refined our KYC onboarding processes, and we have also engaged several third-party solution providers. Third-party solution providers would include Thomson Reuters WorldCheck One to perform our screening requirements as required under the Act. And we have also subscribed to the services of Merkle Science, which is a transaction monitoring tool. Now, these are all required under the law, and I don't want to belabor this point, but it is worth emphasizing nonetheless. So, in light of these developments, another related question to ask is, how would the crypto compliance and regulatory landscape develop in 2021, and how PundiX could navigate to expand our business? Well, to me, it's a straightforward answer, because many countries are beginning to introduce laws to regulate crypto companies. Singapore was one of the first countries to introduce the Payment Services Act, and we see many other countries going in this direction. So Having said that, spending 3 years or 3 months in advising a crypto company is equivalent to about spending 3 years in a regular one. And this is because the speed of development, the pace of the development is just blistering, for lack of a better word. And 2021 is not likely to be different. And in this regard, navigation and growth has to take place compliantly. There are no two ways about it. This is because governments around the world are paying greater attention to cryptocurrency as a result of latest trends. BTC and the bullishness of BTC is only one trend, but there are other trends to cite. This being the case, PundiX has to navigate the global regulatory landscape to pursue its business and expansion goals. Over to you, Zach.
Thank you, Balan. So I think you use a very, very suitable word. You use the word blistering. When a financial guy joined the crypto space, or rather PundiX, he told me, wow, the crypto space is blistering. Whatever he did for 10 years in the bank, he has to learn everything in 1 year. And I think it's exactly the same for compliance and legal. So it is a catching up process which everyone is trying so hard to pick up. So in that way, we are actually very lucky to have a strong compliance team, to have David, our Chief Legal Officer, to advise us, and also you and your team to work on this, and to be in Singapore, because in my opinion, Singapore is actually setting a good standard, which maybe other parts of the world will look at it and replicate it. So being here is a very strong advantageous position, and as we become more compliant in this market. So that is very, very critical. Yeah.
Yeah, to chime in, you mentioned that other countries would look at what Singapore is doing and perhaps take a leaf out of Singapore's experience. And this is no exaggeration. You may recall that last year, on the eve of Chinese New Year last year, we had a session with the ambassador of Rwanda, who is based in Singapore. And he, in fact, shared this experience with us that Rwanda's policies of introducing digital currencies have to, they have to borrow experiences from many parts of the world. And he's keen in looking at the Singapore's model. I'm sure Rwanda is one of the markets that we are looking at in the African continent. So it is no exaggeration. And again, to borrow a word that was used earlier, is a convergence of laws that we are looking at.
Yes, indeed. So once again, we are getting more compliant. We are doing things the right way. So I think we are balancing it very nicely, being compliant and also being decentralized. That's the two ethos that we are balancing. And also, once again, I would like to say that thank you, a big thanks to our merchant and our distributor for being so patient in going through the onboarding process. It is not perfect. We are still improving it. So thank you guys. And Balan and his team, and also our BD team, will work with you as always, so that we get there, we can do the business well, and also have a peace of mind at the same time.
Sorry, Zach, I would also want to share a piece of comparative experience here, since we are making a comparison with the banking world. Now, again, this is one message that I would like to send out to the merchants and distributors personally, because of the complexity and the speed at which the regulatory development is proceeding. Now, the thing to say that the banks had about a decade to put in place all these merchant onboarding or customer onboarding procedures. We, in the crypto space, have about 1 year. And we have to come up to speed at a very, very fast pace. The learning curve is very steep. But at the same time, we are to start afresh. A lot of tools are not geared for crypto transaction monitoring, for example. So we have to be innovative. We have to come up with our own policies and procedures to remain compliant. But at the same time, we want to ensure that the user experience is not compromised. It's a tall order, but we are getting there. And yeah, I'm happy to state that we are pioneers in doing this.
Indeed, indeed. We will get there. And I'm very happy and thankful that we are actually pioneering this space. In fact, I would say we have given some very good consultation to some central governments as well. Not that we can mention, but yeah, we are very glad that is happening. Thank you once again, Balan.
With pleasure.
Thank you. So next, thank you, Balan. And next, let's get into the fifth agenda, which is FunctionX. So we have gone through 4 agenda. We have 4 more to go. So this is indeed a lengthy AMA. So let's dive in right away. FunctionX. Okay, all right, guys. If you can see the FunctionX roadmap, give me a shout out on YouTube. Tell me that you can see it. Oh, okay, sorry. I didn't share the screen. Okay, how about now? Can you guys see it now? Nope. All right, okay. Yes, it's all good now, Edward. All right, BTC King, I can see you. All right, wait, let me just put it up. All right, so let's look at the FunctionX roadmap. We recently published the FunctionX roadmap to give everyone a bird's eye view of what we are doing. To be honest, we have so many things, so many bits and pieces, parts going on. Sometimes it can be confusing. So right now, we have a roadmap to guide all of us, to guide you and to guide us, to guide me, so that we know we have 3 pillars. 1 is the payment pillar. What is the payment pillar? The payment pillar is actually to facilitate our wallet and our XPOS point of sale system so that both services move onto the FunctionX ecosystem. What it means is that XPOS and wallet itself will be powered by FunctionX FX core. right now, the point of sales XPOS is a custodial version whereby people cannot see the transaction when it goes into XPOS. So take, for example, if I buy coffee, it goes into XPOS the transaction, but it doesn't show on chain. So what it means is that we will bring the wallet and the point of sales on chain at the same time, which means that next time, if a user uses our wallet or uses XPOS, all the transaction, you will be able to see on the FX Explorer. Why are we doing this? The reason we are doing this is simple. The reason we are doing this is because we are, if I may, eating our own dog food, walking the talk. So we will put our flagship product, XPOS, and also wallet into FunctionX ecosystem, which means that from the get-go, FunctionX will have a use case whereby point of sales and wallets transaction will be shown on the FunctionX. I think this is epic, to use the word by DJ Walter. This is epic because we have not seen any financial services that is on-chain today. Not amongst the banks, not amongst the biggest point of sales company, not even amongst a remittance company. Of course, there are trials, right? I mean, we know that Sumitomo Bank is trialing this, or DBS is trialing that. So the big banks are testing it, but no one has had the courage to put everything on chain. One is because technology. Second is because scrutiny, and we will be putting it on chain, our own product. Of course, when we put all this on chain, there will be a lot of naysayers saying that why is this transaction, or why we have so little transaction in just, for example, South Africa. Why can't we make South Africa to have more transaction, just as a random example. But I think the best test is for us to go on chain ourselves, to let people see, and to really let you feel when you do a transaction with a merchant at a store. So when, for example, when BTC King sells his crypto in Florida, he will see that transaction happen on chain, which means that it will be logged on the chain from address A to address B. And address B will use the crypto to perhaps buy coffee in North Carolina, which will also be shown on the Explorer. So all this will be on chain. So this is a huge pillar of our payments pillar. This is number one. The second one is actually the blockchain pillar. The blockchain pillar is actually very self-explanatory. The chain, which is our core chain, which is called FX Core, will be the backbone that connects all the various chains that you are using. So take, for example, today, a local bank in Portugal wants to use our services to create a private chain that they want to use. So they can use their own private chain, but when they connect this private chain to other chains on the ecosystem, they would need to connect to FX Core. So they can live by themselves using their own token, using their own DAO governance token. But when they connect their private chain to the bigger world, the outside world, what it means is that they will need FX to connect, which means that FX is the backbone for one to create the private chain. So the bank or the user will need to stake their FX to create that private chain. The chain could be free or semi-free. So the bank can use our service to create a private blockchain for free or semi-free. But in return, the bank will have to buy or hold FX and stake FX so that that private blockchain will be powered. Of course, when the bank unstake the FX token, the private blockchain will go offline. So it is free or semi-free in that sense, but they will have to acquire FX to stake FX for that. And when they connect their private chain to FX core, which is FunctionX main chain, then they would also need FX as a transaction fee. So let me just repeat this example once again. The bank creates a private chain. Whatever things that they do in the private chain is theirs and theirs only. So they can have very low or even zero transaction fee in their private chain. That doesn't matter because it is not connected to the larger world. But in order to create that private chain, they need to stake FX. And when they connect their private chain into the main chain and they want to transact their token from their private chain to another private chain, for example, another bank in Korea, then they have to use FX as the transaction fees. And why it is so epic? Because for those of you who have used cloud.functionx.io in testnet 1, 2, and 3, you know that creating a private chain is really as easy as 1, 2, 3 clicks. Using cloud.functionx.io, which is part of the second pillar, you can log in, you can create your own blockchain, you can assign tokens to your own blockchain, you can assign the voting power rule, the proof of stake rules in the cloud just by clicking through the interface. No more coding, which means that as we launch the mainnet, we anticipate people creating blockchain like they are setting up their own block platform. It's just like, for lack of word, WordPress for blockchain. You go into WordPress.org and do a few clicks and you have your own block platform. So that will happen on cloud.functionx.io. You go into cloud.functionx.io and you create your own private chain with your own token utility, your token rules, just by clicking through. In fact, for those of you that have gone through testnet 1, 2, and right now 3, you know it is working. Right now, testnet 3 has about close to 30 private blockchain running, those of you that have invitation codes. So you know that you can set up your own blockchain, you can set up the validator rule, you can set up what kind of asset you want to support on the cross-chain. For example, you are a bank and you want to set up a private chain, a private blockchain, but at the same time, you want to accept a certain ERC20 token. For example, you want to accept MPXS and Uniswap token, so that you can also set up the cross-chain mechanism in your private chain. Everything codeless, done on cloud.functionx.io. So I think this is an epic of epic proportion, really. Yeah. So this is the second item in our second pillar blockchain. The third one is actually a hardware. So our sincere apology because of the pandemic and also because of the factory closure that happened earlier in China. So Bob has been delayed until we can get the mainnet running, and then we can talk about the demand of Bob. We did get quite a bit of demand for Bob, but not at the level that we want in terms of the orders that we get. But hardware will continue to be an important part in our second pillar, the blockchain pillar, because from the very beginning, the vision of Bob is to work with the bigger guys, you know, the likes of Samsung, Acer, Google, to build better and stronger hardware powered by our ecosystem, powered by operating system. Again, I'm not saying Samsung, Acer, or Google is the one. I'm just quoting an example. So hardware is a very important second pillar in the second pillar. And right now, the focus is really to get the mainnet out, because everything hinges on the launch of the mainnet. So this is the second pillar. The third pillar is actually DeFi. So DeFi is something that we have floated around a little bit so those of you that are following us closely know that we have floated the idea of DeFi, and we have seen a plethora of projects going into DeFi. So why didn't PundiX or FunctionX just jump in immediately to take advantage of the DeFi boom, to launch a new token or whatever? So why didn't we do that? We know that DeFi is very, very important. And because of that, we wanted to be part of the DeFi in a very serious and also sustainable way. We don't want to be in DeFi for 3 months. We want to be in DeFi for many, many years. So the planning of DeFi actually started early 2020. And I think it is now right moment to share with you what we have in DeFi. It is not launch ready yet, but the system, the synthetic asset platform is actually fully being built. So if you want, I can share with you the screenshots and also the video of the synthetic asset. But it is not near launch yet, simply because there are so many rules to get it right. So with the synthetic asset, what it means is that you can actually create synthetic asset in the FunctionX blockchain ecosystem. All right, let me give you another example. Today, you have Bitcoin, and you want to collateralize your Bitcoin to create a synthetic asset. So the synthetic asset could be a synthetic precious metal. So it doesn't need to be gold, it doesn't need to be silver, it is a synthetic precious metal which you are working on. So you take your Bitcoin, you collateralize in the FunctionX blockchain, and you get a synthetic asset in the synthetic asset platform. And in this, using that synthetic asset, you can trade on the synthetic asset platform and use it for various things, including because you own that synthetic asset, you would have the governance model of that synthetic asset, which means that you can have your own DAO for that synthetic asset. Of course, if I also collateralize my Bitcoin and own part of your synthetic asset, I would also be a participant in that DAO voting process. So we have that synthetic asset in mind. And also, naturally, with a blockchain and with entrance into DeFi, we will need to have a decentralized exchange, because you will need to be able to trade FX coin on FunctionX blockchain. You will need to be able to trade your synthetic asset on the FunctionX blockchain, which means that we will have a DEX. So that is the third pillar of our DeFi. Again, like I said, we did not jump into DeFi last year when it was immediately, because we wanted to really design something that is sustainable so that token holders of FX and also NPXS will be able to benefit from this. We truly believe this. We could have launched something just to tap on the hype, but we wanted to design something that the token holders, the existing token holders can benefit from it. So these are the three major pillars. The payments, which is existing business, will go into FunctionX. The second is the blockchain, which Testnet 3, you have experienced it in Testnet 1, 2, and 3, and it is close to live. I like to apologize really for the delay of Mainnet. We have delayed it a few times. There are unexpected events. The 60 developers are really working very hard. In fact, for those of you that talk to us very often, you know that Christmas was, we literally worked till 11 p.m. On Christmas Eve. So I apologize again for the delay of blockchain mainnet, but it is coming. I don't know if it's a fair comparison, maybe it's not, but just look at Ethereum 2.0. How many years has it been delayed? So it is coming, mainnet, and thank you guys for the patience, really. All right, Testnet 3.0. So as I've said, we have close to 30 private blockchain that are being launched in Testnet 3.0. Some of you are actually in the audience. I know guys like Extra, even a community member from One Chain has launched it. Sylvia has launched it. So basically, some of you are technical guys, some of you are non-technical guys, but regardless, you have all launched your own private blockchain on Testnet 3.0. So let me reiterate. In Testnet 1.0, you already are capable of launching your own, in 2.0, you are capable of launching your own personal private blockchain. So what's the difference between 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0? In 1.0, you can launch your own validator and your own node, on your own node for FX cores, which means that you can log on to cloud.functionx.io and launch your own validator. By having your own validator, you can stake your own FX and also provide staking services for other delegator. So in Testnet 1.0, we want to show you how easy it is to set up a validator. No coding required, no hardware required. In Testnet 2.0, we show you how to launch your own blockchain, private blockchain. And in Testnet 3.0, we took it a step further. How to allow a cross-chain capability on your testnet, on your own private blockchain, which means that you have your own private blockchain, and you have your own coin. You have your own coin. So say, for example, you have your own coin called Sylvia coin in FX, but you want to also be able to accept ERC20 token into your private blockchain. So this is what Testnet 3.0 comes into play. You can do all this. You can accept ERC20 tokens like Link. You can accept ERC20 token like Uniswap. As a matter of fact, in theory, you can accept any kind of ERC20 token. So you can accept your token into your private blockchain, but you can also export your token from the private blockchain in Testnet 3.0 into ERC20 world, so into Ethereum blockchain. So guys, look at the screen that is that is on the screen. So you can see that on the lower left, I have launched a validator called ZAC Test with FX Core. So which means that I have a validator on the main blockchain of FunctionX ecosystem. So I have a ZAC Test validator, and there are 31 validator with 19 validator online. Okay, and my voting power is 0% because I just launched this validator yesterday, less than 12 hours ago. So my voting power is still 0, but my voting power would increase as I become more and more trusted in the blockchain. So how do I become more trusted? One, of course, I have to be online. Second, I have to be a good boy. And third, I have to stake my FX. The more FX I stake, the more voting power I have. So in order to become a validator, you have to stake FX. But why do I want to stake my FX to be a validator? Because when I become a validator, when I have more voting power, I will be able to get more FX token from the unlocks, from the 16-year FX token distribution curve that we announced. Once Mainnet is launched, every year there will be a inflation rate, which means that there will be more FX token distributor. So by becoming a validator, I can claim a certain amount, part of the pool that is being given out. So we expect people to want to become validator in FX Core. And the more FX you stake, the more voting power you have, the more new FX from the inflation pool that you will get. And one experience that we learned from MPXS was that the airdrop was a very successful airdrop in MPXS, but the inflation rate has to be controlled very professionally. So I think that is an experience that we learned so that the value doesn't go up super fast like what we experience in MPXS and comes down. So this is something that we have learned, and the token team led by Danny will make sure that we will be a sustainable growth this time. So this is what you can do in cloud.functionx.io. Launch a validator in FX Core, and FX Core is what we call the base blockchain. At the same time, for example, I own a bank. So just assume the bank is called Zach Bank. So the Zach Bank can also launch my own private blockchain, which you can see in the lower middle screen, which is a Zach chain. So Zach chain being launched by myself, there is only one validator. So I have my own token, which is called Zach token. So take, for example, Walter, you can launch your own chain called Walter chain, and you can call your token Walter token, and you want to have a 1 million total Walter token supply. All those can be done in your own private chain. And as always, you can have your own validator. You can invite other guys to join the validator. So you have more than one validator. And of course, you can have your own chain explorer. So all this are already possible in Testnet 2.0. I'm not talking about what will happen. It is already happening on Testnet 3.0. The setup is a little bit professional, if I may, which means that you need to click through certain things, and you need to have a good grasp of blockchain concept, but no coding is required. So we have sent out the invitational code. As of yesterday, I know that we have about 30 private blockchain created by all of you guys out there. So you have your own blockchain, you have your own validator, you have your own node, and you have your own token in your private chain. So to me, it's a little bit overwhelming. There are so many things that are coming out. So I think when Mainnet launches, there will be a lot of stuff for people to digest. Yeah. All right. So with Mainnet, we have iterated, and this is the same thing. Really fast confirmation time, really cheap transaction cost, EVM compatible, which means that we can connect to ERC20 blockchain and other chains which are EVM compatible. So cross-chain token capability is just sweet. And FX Core, the main base blockchain, will have DEX support, which means that you can trade your various chain token on FX Core. So we will have our own DEX. We will support synthetic asset, which is part of the DeFi movement that we want to get in. And very importantly, we want FX and MPXS holder to benefit from this. I think one policy that we have always been stressing is that we don't talk about token price in the past, but I guess the market has evolved in such a way that a lot of companies, most companies like to talk about and shill about their token price. So I think we will talk more and discuss more about the token value from 2021. For those of you that have been with us for a very long time, you know that we never tweet about token price. But I think in 2021, we will be more openly talking about the value of MPXS and FX. So potentially staking mechanism. All right, so right now, I want to jump into Q&A before the final segment, which is one last thing. All right, Q&A, we have gathered some different Q&As from Twitter, and also some of you that have asked questions live. So Paco will send me the question live so that me or Balan will answer the question live, and also some of the questions that are asked on Twitter. So I will take all these questions, and Balan, feel free to chip in whatever that you want to help out. Yeah.
Certainly, Zach.
Yeah. So I will pick a few. So what was well-known corporations that joined the Testnet 3.0 that wasn't included on the screenshot share. So there are indeed several corporations that are testing Testnet 3.0 with us. We simply cannot share their names based on NDA, but please do know that we will share it immediately whenever we can. Yeah. But as you know, we have worked with big major names before. Take, for example, our XWallet that was actually part of the Samsung blockchain phone. So you know we are capable of getting the biggest name in the market. So just let us work our work, and we will share with you when we can. Yeah. Balan, what about you?
When Zach mentioned NDA means non-disclosure agreements, and because of these agreements, we can't disclose the full particulars. The mechanics is usually after securing a certain deal, then parties enter into a discussion such that details can be posted on the open platform, meaning on websites, etc. So we urge you to be patient before we can sort out these legal matters. And once these legal matters are ironed out, we would be happy to publish them in the respective channel.
Okay, yeah. I think that is the best way to respect the big corporations. They are even more sensitive towards this. Second, what was your biggest challenge yet? Are there big things like partnership to look forward to? I think the biggest challenge as a company is two things. One is adoption. We had a huge adoption rate in 2018 when the price was going really high, Bitcoin price, and it actually dropped down in 2019. So that was actually our biggest challenge, to really, to really stick on our guts and continue pushing XPOS. That was actually our biggest challenge. The second biggest challenge is actually more behind the scene, which is compliance. We had to make some sacrifices, if that's the best word, to comply with the regulation. So I think these are like the two biggest challenge we have. The third is everything PundiX going to be open source? Yes, it will be open source. It is something that the community has constantly reminded us, where are our GitHub's upload? I apologize for not getting all the uploads up prior. And I can understand why the sentiment, the worry. So if you look at our GitHub repository today, we have 11 FunctionX GitHub repository. And of the 11 repository, 4 repo has been updated in at least once in the past month. And we will increase the upload. The reason why our upload rate was slower before was because it was in testnet mode, and we wanted it to be a bit more solid and stable so that we can release the code. And we have already started releasing. 4 repo has been released over the past months. And I think this is a good momentum, because we will also need to invite security audits. And I think we want the code to be open source at a good time where we can invite the security audit to come in and audit it. So I think everything is going to be open source. That is for sure. The fourth one is, are you going to have a functional iOS FX wallet? Yes, definitely. I am a iPhone user myself, so you can see this. So yeah, so we will have it. Yeah. The fifth one is, what are the punishment management penalty for validator? So I think we briefly talked about punishment rules in May and June hash out. We haven't finalized the things yet. So it's a good point. We really need to work on this as well. So please stay tuned. Where is Stasis Euro? Stasis Euro, we have talked to Stasis team quite a few times, and one of the requirements is for them to provide liquidity. So we are still on discussion, and if they can provide liquidity on XPOS, we are happy to get Euro out because that is a demand as well. Is the FunctionX blockchain compatible with CBDC? We plan to support, because FunctionX blockchain plans to be a cross-chain in the agnostic way. So when CBDC has more information, of course, we want to look at it. And also a very interesting side note is that China's CBDC, if you saw some of the images, they actually use the Landy point of sales, which is Ingenico's subsidiary in China. So I think that is also a great, interesting thing to see China's CBDC using the same model as we are, which is a point of sales and also with a blockchain card. So I think that goes to show some of the things that we have anticipated is actually true. When will XPOS start accepting MasterCard? Yes, we can accept point of sales from PAX actually accepts MasterCard and also Visa and also XPOS. So that is already out there if you want to use PAX point of sales. All right. Is there any limitation to blockchains that can connect to XPOS payment network? All right, I think that is a worry that as we move XPOS and our wallet to FunctionX blockchain, we will only support FunctionX tokens and coins. No, we will continue to support ERC20 tokens and also the various blockchain out there. That is the only way that we can grow, to have cross liquidity, cross support. Of course, it will take time for us to connect. As you have seen, we have successfully connected to ERC20, so the rest will come. It will take some time, but it will definitely come. All right, so let's move on to the questions that Paco just shared with me, which is the live questions that some of you have asked. All right, so from YouTube. So one is, will you support BTC blockchain on FunctionX? Yes, we will. We have supported BTC, which means that right now, if you go to XPOS, you can buy BTC, and it's actually on-chain transaction. In fact, it is the first chain that we supported on our existing XPOS. So we will do the same for our FunctionX blockchain. Second is, how many token burn per transaction? We will share with you the details. Of course, we will stick to the agenda that FX and MPXS holder should benefit from this growth. All right, any update for PayPal and eBay? PayPal is supported on XPOS, which means that XPOS user can actually get the PayPal app on XPOS so that you can accept payments on PayPal. All right, so there are so many questions. I think I will just take two more. And Balan, if you want, you can also take one more. Where do you see MPXS in the next 5 years? What would you like to accomplish? Wow, okay. All right. I wouldn't want to guess where we are in terms of ranking or where we are in terms of market cap. Of course, it is always on my mind. It is always on our team's mind. But I think long-term delivery is to create a successful business model, a successful distribution model to really get MPXS growing. I think that is the key thing that we have been emphasizing. In fact, if you look at our token price from early 2020 to late 2020, it has grown actually at a pretty healthy pace. And our token burn, if you compare Q3 to Q4, which we will announce, it has also increased 20%. So I think we are in the right direction. And what do we want to achieve really in the next 5 years, which is to build a real business around NPXS and FX so that it can flourish with us, and in fact, in a very decentralized manner. So I think that is our vision for us. Yeah. All right. I guess that's it for the Q&A. And is there anything that you want to answer, Balan?
Yes, Greg. I think I'll take that question on what was your greatest challenges yet. Now, one of the most important challenges that we have been facing since 2019 is moving from an unregulated space, meaning crypto industry was unregulated until 2019. And suddenly we are thrust into a heavily regulated space with governments introducing new laws and regulations. So this is something that happened very quickly. And it is not just a challenge for our team members in the company, but also for our customers, because our customers have always been used to an unregulated blockchain environment. In fact, that was the philosophy of the blockchain, right? However, if I were to identify one related issue in this biggest challenge yet, would be educating the users, educating the community. Some of us are still used to the good old ways of doing business, where transactions could be made without any verification. That was the story in the good old days, back in time. However, we have to move. We have to educate our customers in relaying the message that this cannot take place in an unregulated manner, but in a more regulated manner to ensure legitimacy, which in effect will lead to a better product and service. Because with the license, governments would be more inclined to allow us to do business in their jurisdictions, in their respective jurisdictions. So to summarize my answer, yes, the biggest challenge is not a challenge to be addressed by us, but as an industry, as a community altogether. That's all.
I think you pointed very nicely. Educating the usage of blockchain, crypto, and also educating people from the higher ups, the government.
Yeah. So that will lead me to another related question on punishment management, right? So again, in the spirit of blockchain, we are more geared towards a reward oriented organization, a reward oriented blockchain, as opposed to punishing users. So the whole idea is to be a self-regulated community. That way, the experience would be more positive, I would say. I think I wouldn't want to take up too much of everybody's time. That's all from me.
Okay.
Today.
Thank you, Balan. All right, so thanks again, Balan, and thank you guys for asking all these very good, challenging questions on Twitter and also live. There are some that we just couldn't manage to answer, but I think the spirit is there. That's the thing. All right. One very key thing that everyone is concerned about is token removal. will we reinitiate 2021 token removal? First and foremost, before I say that, I would like to thank all the token holders for allowing us to delay or to cancel token removal for 2020, to essentially pass on the benefits, if I may, that you're supposed to get to the merchant so that they get the 1% instead of being removed. I think it's very critical for the merchant and for the distributor because the pandemic really hurt many merchants very badly. So once again, on behalf of the merchant and the distributor, I want to thank all the token holders for sticking with and supporting us for not having token removal for XPOS transaction for 2020. So what happened for those of you that are not with us is that in 2020, we have decided to not do token removal for XPOS transaction, but to only do token removal for other parts, which is on our dApps and for our merchandise. Those we continue to do. And for XPOS merchant, we decided to not do it because we wanted to pass on the 1% to the XPOS merchant, those that are using XPOS because the pandemic, whatever that we can help. So the question now, the big question now lies on whether will we have token removal for 2021. The answer is yes. We will resume token removal in 2021, which means that not just from dApps, not just from merchandise, not just from other things, we will also include back XPOS transaction into part of the token removal. So 2021, we will resume what we have been doing in 2019, which is to continue the token removal. So thank you once again for everyone reminding us this is very important for the community and this will come back in place in 2021. Of course, we also want everyone to have a realistic expectation because the pandemic is still recovering. So I think the token removal from the XPOS transaction, of course, our hope is that it will grow very, very huge, substantially. But I think we also want to be a bit realistic in terms of focusing on the rollout and also focusing on whatever that we have in hand. So I want everyone to know that the token removal that we enjoy, the millions of dollars of token removal during conversion and staking is actually slightly different because during conversion and staking, the token removal happened because we burn all the NPXS token that was converted to FX. And from 2021, there's no conversion or staking burn. So we will focus on the XPOS and also all the other businesses that we have that is creating the burns. So next, one more thing. Many of you have asked, will there be staking of NPXS and FX? So the answer is yes. We have not announced or we haven't finalized the mechanics yet, but there will be staking of NPXS and FX in the new mainnet. There will be pre-staking, there will be staking. Let me give you an example. One staking that can happen is that for holders to actually stake your token as a delegator to a validator. So you can either be a delegator or a validator. And as you become one, you will stake your FX into the validator or as a delegator to the validator. And with that, you will get more FX coming into the validator as you provide validating services in the ecosystem. So yes, there will be a pre-stake and a stake when mainnet launches. So this is something that we will iron out the details and announce to you guys. So this is something I think is very key for many of the holders and many of you want to know the details. So give us some time to figure out, and what is important right now for us is to get ready for Mainnet. So one Mainnet is ready, a lot of all these things will fall into place. So I hope this is something that many of you are looking forward to, and I myself is very excited to start the staking process myself. So I think we have done the longest AMA ever, which is close to 2 hours, really. So once again, I want to recap. One, we're doing a lot of work behind the scene and in front for XPOS and XWallet, really getting real adoption in different markets in the world. Second, we are putting a lot of effort behind the scene, whether it's compliance or strengthening partnership with big corporations. Third, a lot of effort, especially on the technical team. So Pete, our CTO, and the technical team is spending a lot of time literally burning midnight oil to get Mainnet up. And as you have seen, Mainnet will be very exciting, simply because Testnet 3.0 have shown to us what kind of capability that you will be able to see from running the blockchain. And I think one thing that we want to stress is that the Mainnet will benefit FX and MPXS token holder tremendously. XPOS and the wallet will move to FunctionX blockchain, and the utility will grow from there. So we are super happy, and we look forward to implementing the 3 pillars. One is the blockchain pillar, second is our payment pillar, and the third, which is our DeFi pillar. All of them you will see in 2021. So once again, I think we have taken up a lot of time of all of you guys, and many of you have stayed up late or super early to tune into this. So I thank you once again. And I think I would want to end this session by saying that this year is actually the year of Ox, right, Balan? In East Asian horoscope. So let's just take the bull, the ox by the horn, and get a really good year out of it. So thank you guys all again, and looking forward to a great 2021 with everyone. Thank you guys.
Thank you, everyone. Good day.
Good day.